going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're working on the power supply for Big Blue. Now I wish this was a little bit more straightforward, but it requires some discussion, a little bit of background information before we can really just continue on with what we're going to be doing today. Because as you can sort of see, this is a power supply and this is a power supply. Two very different things. Well, let me take that back. Very different on the outside. They may look different, but surprisingly, they're pretty similar. So let's back up. What am I doing? So this is the original chassis, part of the original chassis, the framework for the Big Blue power supply. Now the reason why, or the thing that makes this so unique, is this push button on the side. So there's a hole in the side of the cabinet, and if you want to turn it on, you don't have to get behind the cabinet all the way. You just push the side button here, and you turn it on. And when you're done, you turn it off. And this frame is actually kind of hard to find. If you're really looking, if you know what you're looking for, you're going to be able to find maybe some stuff secondhand on eBay, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. And remember, you're dealing with an old power supply. You're just getting the framework that you want. You're getting this chassis, but you're not getting new electronics on the inside. So anyway, what happened? This power supply, when I got the cabinet as part of the overall, cleaning up and touching up and freshening up of the cabinet itself before it went down into my arcade, it got a little bit of attention. One was the fan was just absolutely shot. So it got a brand new cooling fan, and I thought everything was really going well. But then there were some weird things that would happen. And it was always on startup. I would hit the button, and then sometimes the game board would come on. Sometimes the game board wouldn't. Sometimes the monitor would come on, and sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes it would come on, but it was like it was getting not enough voltage, so the picture was just really bad. I had to turn it off and turn it back on, and eventually, originally it was just like once. Okay, it happened once, turn it off, turn it back on, it's fine. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it just had to warm up. I don't know, it's not really an electrical term. I know, I get it. It's kind of dumb. But I was just pretty much putting it all in the back of my mind, just wishing and hoping that there's no problem. But sure enough, the problem actually did come when the fuse blew on this power supply. So I took the whole thing apart and I thought, well, you know what? It's a good looking power supply. I mean, this frame is all stainless steel. It's really nice. It fits the cabinet perfectly. If you look on the back side, you're going to need something about this size to fill up the hole, fill up the gap in the back of the machine. And there's stock holes in the machine that screws just bolt right to. So I thought, well, let me just go through, and I'm not sure exactly what the problem is, but I'll start with a recap kit. So that's exactly what I did. Bought a whole new cap kit, replaced all the capacitors on this board, and I think I did a pretty good job. The soldering just kind of took my time, sitting back, having a drink, and getting all the capacitors done. Once I did that, popped in a new fuse, and I took it all the way down, put it in the cabinet, and sure enough, pretty massive problem. Nothing was really coming on. I was getting power to the monitor, but nothing else. Took it back out, brought it up here, and the fuse blew again. So then I started doing some bench testing. I double checked all my solder joints, making sure I didn't bridge some kind of some of the traces. Maybe I have a direct short somewhere, and I didn't see anything. So I put another fuse in, plugged it into the bench, popped again. So what do I do now? What's the problem? Pretty sure that there's no bridging of any kind of traces on the backside of this board. Went to some of the forums and I got some advice, from several guys that know what they're doing, saying, "Hey, why don't you check some of the transistors, and maybe that's the problem." But then I thought, you know what? That's going to take a long time, and I'm not 100% sure I know exactly what I'm doing. I've done some research, and I could probably figure it out. But at the end of the day, if I find one bad transistor, there's still a board populated with parts that could eventually be going bad. And if it's causing a direct short, that's not good. So I went to Twisted Quarter Arcade, or twistedquarter.com, and they have a lot of cool arcade parts. They have a bunch of power supplies. I got my original replacement power supply for my Neo Geo 4 slot from Twisted Quarter, and the thing was absolutely perfect, a perfect replacement. Put it in there, good to go, never had a problem since. I knew it was going to happen. They didn't have this in stock. They have it listed, the one for the Big Blue, but they don't have it in stock. So what am I going to do? Well, I decided to go ahead and go with one of their generic power supplies. This cost me about $60. And decided, well, I'll go ahead and try this. I'm pretty sure it works. It's supposed to be a direct replacement, and sure enough, it was. The connectors are exactly the same. Plugged it in, and everything came to life, which was a relief. I'm glad there was no board problem or anything like that. So then I got to thinking. I had this radically smaller chassis, right? If you look at the form factor, if you look at the size, radically smaller. And, you know, that means you're going to have to do some modifications on the back of the cabinet, but it's the back of the cabinet. Who cares? I care. I care because I'm trying to keep this thing original. So what do? So I had a great idea. Well, maybe, what if the board itself is physically the same or very similar, and I can just take it out of this housing, this chassis, and put it into this chassis? Is it possible? Can I do it? Well, we're going to find out right now. The connectors there. This is pretty tight. They put this in a pretty tight space here for sure. But I think we're going to have some success. Okay, and then we have incoming. Oh, that's the ground wire. This is that's good. That disconnects there. That's over here. So then we just have the only other thing that's soldered to the board is going to be the voltage potentiometer. All right, so we are free from that. And now what we have left is this. Okay, so you can see that there is a lot of similarities with this board in the way that it's laid out. So the fan wires on the stock board down here, not welded, they're soldered to the PCB itself. Here you had an actual junction, a connector, roughly in the same place. So I'm going to be able to just take these wires and I'm just going to splice into the existing wires because I want that length so that when I separate it, I guess I need that. Maybe I don't even need that. Maybe because I've got a plug here, I can just plug that in. I don't know. I have to give that some thought. Well, it's too late now. I've already cut the damn thing off. But I guess technically you could have just taken the fan out of the stock housing and put it in this one. A little bit of an oversight on my part. Other than that, though, you've got the exit in the same side as far as this main connector. So that's good. And the location of the potentiometer for the voltage is roughly in the same spot. So I can take the stock bracket, put it on this potentiometer, and it's going to go back in the stock location. The only thing that's really different is the voltage selector. So this is the high voltage, low voltage. This is set for low voltage, 115, which is what we use here in the States. Or you can set it to 230. It depends on what your application is. The stock connector is actually over here, and it's connected to the actual frame of the original power supply. It's a little bit different. The spacing is a little bit different, those two holes. So I can't just put this back in that location. So I thought about, well, I guess I can cut these and then I can splice them and all that. But then I thought, well, okay, well, let's just take a look. If this is just a selector, then I know I'm never going to run 230, right? I'm only going to run 115 or 110. So let's just see what position it's in. So right now it is in, well, let's put it for high voltage. And at high voltage, check continuity, and you're going to see that it's actually open. Okay, so I'm not getting a tone there at all. So if we set it back to 115, then I am getting a tone, right? I should. There we go. Okay, so we have continuity. So basically, all I have to do is just cut this off and then just wire nut these two wires together, and that'll give me my 110. Everything's fine. And then I'll just leave the stock connector or the stock selector on the housing just to kind of give it the appearance of, fully stock, but you and I will know that it's only going to be able to do 115. And just when I think I'm going to be able to put this whole thing together, it wasn't quite that easy. While this board is almost exactly the same size, populated with all the same parts needed to run the arcade machine, all the parts aren't exactly in the same spot of the original PCB. So the problem I had right here was the fuse holder, the stock fuse holder, is really long. So I had to swap it out with the fuse holder that came with the smaller PCB. Luckily, the little plate that's included is actually exactly the same size. It's incredible how much is universal and interchangeable between these two. Even all the screws are the same size. So it's really no big deal. It was just a matter of swapping that part out and then continuing on with the reassembly. Well, that was a complete success. You know, I'm kind of surprised that I didn't blow up the cabinet or burn the house down. And I'm equally surprised that now I have a good solid option for a replacement power supply if this thing ever goes bad again. And I really don't have to worry about if it's in the right box or not. And now, neither do you. Hey, I hope this helps you out in your power supply troubles. If you have any other comments, let me know down in the comments section. Hope everybody has a blessed day. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel, and I'll see all of you next time.